Let me ask you something important. What is the very first thing you do when you wake up tomorrow morning? Do you roll over, reach for your phone, and then push yourself up and start moving? Because if you do, and most people over 60 do exactly that, I need you to hear what I am about to say very carefully. My name is Dr. Kevin Dorr, and what I'm about to share with you is some of the most important information I have ever put into a single video. There is a specific window of time, a window that most people walk right through every single morning without giving it a second thought. And during that window, the risk of stroke is higher than almost any other moment in your day. I am not trying to frighten you. I have spent decades working with patients, men and women just like you, and what I see time and again breaks my heart a little, because the signs were there, the body was sending messages, and no one told them what to look for. I had a patient, I will call him Harold, 72 years old, retired school teacher, sharp as a tack, took his blood pressure medication, ate reasonably well. One Tuesday morning he woke up, checked his phone, swung his legs over the side of the bed, and stood up fast to get to the bathroom. By the time his wife found him, he was sitting on the floor, confused, his left arm hanging at his side. He had a stroke in the first 6 minutes of his day, and here is what got to me. Harold had no idea that the way he got out of bed, something he had done thousands of times, could be part of what pushed his vulnerable cardiovascular system past its limit that morning. In this video, I am going to walk you through 12 things happening in your body during those first minutes after waking, things that quietly raise your risk. And by the end, you will know the simple changes that could protect you, changes you can start tomorrow morning. Stay with me. This is some of the most important information I will ever share with you. Here is what most people do not understand about stroke. They think it happens out of nowhere, a bolt from the blue, no warning, no pattern, no reason. But that is not what the research shows. And it is not what I see in the cardiology world. What we know now is that the morning hours, roughly from the time you wake until about 2 hours after, carry a measurably higher risk for cardiovascular events, stroke, heart attack, dangerous spikes in blood pressure, and this risk is especially elevated in adults over 60. The body does something remarkable while you sleep. It rests, it repairs, it runs on a kind of autopilot, but the moment you start waking, a whole cascade of changes begins. Hormones shift, blood pressure rises, and the blood itself thickens slightly from overnight dehydration. And if you jolt yourself into action too fast, you can overwhelm a system that needs a few minutes to safely come online. Most people miss this, not because they are careless, but because no one told them. So let us change that right now. Most people think that standing up quickly in the morning is just a habit. A little rush, maybe a bit of dizziness, nothing serious. But when a patient tells me they regularly feel lightheaded after getting out of bed, I pay very close attention, because that dizziness is not just in their head, it is their body telling them something important. Here is what is happening inside. When you have been lying down all night, your blood settles. Your circulation gets comfortable in a horizontal position. The moment you stand up quickly, gravity pulls that blood downward, toward your legs and away from your brain. Normally, your blood vessels tighten automatically to compensate, but as we age, that automatic reflex slows down. Think of it like a water pressure system in an older house. When demand suddenly spikes, the pressure drops before it can catch up. And for a few seconds, sometimes longer, your brain is working with less blood flow than it needs. This is called orthostatic hypotension, and medical researchers have found it is associated with an increased risk of stroke, particularly in older adults with high blood pressure. Those few seconds of dizziness when you stand, they matter. Your brain noticed. Starting tomorrow morning, try this. Before you stand up, sit on the edge of the bed for 30 seconds. Just 30 seconds. Let your body adjust. Let the pressure equalize. It costs you nothing, and it could protect everything. A lot of people believe that blood pressure is fairly steady throughout the day, going up only when they are stressed or exercising. But when I sit down with patients who have had a stroke and we look at their overnight blood pressure readings, what we often find is striking. There is a natural and significant surge in blood pressure every morning, right around the time you wake. It is called the morning blood pressure surge, and in healthy younger adults, the body handles it without trouble. But in adults over 60, especially those with hypertension, that surge can become a serious problem. Think of your blood vessels like garden hoses. Over time, especially with age and high blood pressure, those hoses become stiffer and less flexible. Now imagine suddenly turning the water pressure way up. A flexible new hose handles it easily, but an older, stiffer hose, it strains, it cracks, it can fail. Research published in cardiology literature has identified the morning blood pressure surge as one of the strongest predictors of stroke risk in elderly patients with hypertension. Not something that might matter, one of the strongest predictors. This is the part that worries me most, because most people with morning blood pressure surges feel nothing unusual. No pain, no obvious warning, just a number on a monitor that, if they are not checking it, they will never see. If you have high blood pressure, check it in the morning before you eat or take medications. Write down what you see, and share those numbers with your doctor. One reading will not tell you everything, but a pattern over a week? That tells a story. Most people think dehydration is a summer problem, something that happens when you are outside in the heat or forget to drink enough water. But here is something I want you to really take in. You lose water while you sleep. Every breath you exhale carries moisture. You sweat lightly through the night, even when it is cool. And if you are taking certain medications, which many adults over 60 are, that fluid loss can be even more significant. By the time you wake up, your blood is actually thicker than it was when you went to sleep. Now here is why that matters for stroke risk. Your blood carries oxygen to your brain through a network of vessels. When that blood thickens, like a river that is running low, it flows more slowly. Clots become more likely to form, and the already elevated morning blood pressure has to work harder to push that thicker blood through aging vessels. Picture your cardiovascular system as a delivery truck fleet. Normally the trucks run smoothly, delivering oxygen right on time. But in the morning, those trucks are carrying a heavier load, the roads are narrower, and the dispatcher just turned everything up to full speed without warning. Studies have linked even mild dehydration to increased stroke risk, and organizations including the American Stroke Association consistently emphasize hydration as part of basic brain and heart health. This one is so simple it almost feels too easy. Drink a glass of water first thing in the morning, before your coffee, before your tea, before anything else. It genuinely helps. Do it every day. I see this more than almost anything else in my practice, and it is one of the things that genuinely concerns me most. Many people believe that taking their blood pressure medication an hour late, or even skipping a morning dose when they are rushed, is not a big deal. Just one day, they think. It will be fine. But for an older adult whose blood pressure is already surging in those early morning hours, even a short gap in medication can leave the cardiovascular system dangerously unprotected during its most vulnerable time of day. Think of blood pressure medication like the shock absorbers on a car. You might not notice them on a smooth, straight road, but the moment the road gets rough and the morning is rough for your cardiovascular system, those shock absorbers are what keep you in control. The cardiovascular system in the first hour of waking is already working harder than at almost any other point in the day. Cortisol is rising, blood pressure is climbing, the blood is thicker, platelets are stickier, more likely to form clots. If your medication is not on board during that window, your protection is reduced exactly when you need it most. Keep your medication on your nightstand. Set an alarm if needed. Take it before your feet hit the floor. This one habit, just this one, has genuinely changed outcomes for patients I care about. Now I know this might seem like an unusual thing for a cardiologist to bring up, but bear with me, because this one surprises people. Most of us, the second we open our eyes, reach for our phones, messages, news, social media, emails. We think it is harmless, just catching up. But what we are actually doing is immediately flooding our nervous system with information, alerts, and often emotional content before our brain has even had time to fully transition from sleep. Here is what that does physiologically. Stress triggers the release of adrenaline and cortisol, hormones that raise blood pressure and make the heart beat faster, and the morning is already a high cortisol time. When you add emotional stimulation from news or messages on top of an already elevated hormonal state, you are compounding the cardiovascular strain. Your body's stress response is like a fire alarm system. It is designed to be triggered briefly, then settle. But if you set off the alarm the moment you wake up, it never gets a chance to reset before the next one fires. For adults over 60 with existing cardiovascular risk factors, this pattern of immediate morning stress can contribute to blood pressure spikes that, combined with everything else we have discussed, put real strain on the brain's blood vessels. Give yourself 20 minutes in the morning before you check the phone. Just 20 minutes of quiet transition, water, light movement, breakfast, before the world comes rushing in. Your heart will thank you. Most people assume that if something serious were happening in their body, they would know. The warning signs would be unmistakable. But in over 2 decades of practice, one of the hardest conversations I have is telling a patient, or their family, that the signs were there weeks before the event. and they were dismissed as tiredness, as stress, as just getting older. And this is where things become truly dangerous. The brain is extraordinarily good at compensating. When blood flow to a region is reduced, other areas try to pick up the slack. You might notice something feels slightly off, a moment of unusual dizziness, a brief difficulty finding a word, a strange tingling that comes and goes. But because it passes quickly, it gets filed under must be nothing. These brief episodes can be what we call transient ischemic attacks, or TIAs, mini strokes, moments when blood flow is interrupted and then restores itself. They cause no permanent damage on their own, but they are the body's loudest possible warning signal that a larger stroke may be coming. The brain is like a sophisticated electrical grid. A flickering light tells you something is wrong with the wiring, long before the power goes out completely. The American Stroke Association reports that roughly 10 to 15% of people who experience a TIA will go on to have a full stroke within 3 months, and the risk is highest in the days immediately following. If you ever experience sudden confusion, brief vision changes, one-sided weakness, or trouble speaking, even for a moment, even if it passes, please call for help immediately. Do not wait to see if it comes back. The time you spend waiting could be the time that makes all the difference. I want to pause here for just a moment. If anything I have shared so far has touched on something you have experienced, a dizzy spell in the morning, a morning where your blood pressure reading surprised you, a moment that felt strange and then passed, please type the word yes in the comments below. You would be surprised how many people watching this video right now have experienced one or more of these things and never connected them to stroke risk. And when you share your experience, you help someone else feel less alone in theirs. If this information has already felt valuable to you, please take a second to like this video. It helps get this message in front of more people who need to hear it. And if you have not subscribed yet, this is a great time because Dr. Kevin Dorr shares this kind of honest, practical health information every week. Now let us keep going, because what comes next is just as important. Most people think that staying busy in the morning is a sign of good health, getting up and going, staying productive, not lying around. And I understand that instinct. But for adults over 60, the way you transition from sleep to full activity matters enormously. When I ask patients to describe what a normal morning looks like, and many of them describe rushing to the kitchen, making coffee, jumping into errands or responsibilities within minutes of waking, I think about what their cardiovascular system is experiencing in that same window. The body needs time to shift from a sleep state to full activity. During sleep, your heart rate is lower, your breathing is slower, and your blood pressure is at its daily minimum. The morning surge brings everything back up, but that process, when it happens naturally, is gradual. When you rush it, you force the system to accelerate faster than it was designed to. Think of a car that has been sitting in the cold all night. If you start it and immediately floor the accelerator, you are stressing every component before the oil has had time to warm and circulate. Your cardiovascular system works the same way. Build 10 to 15 minutes of slow, quiet transition into your morning. No rushing. Sit, breathe, drink water, move gently. This is not laziness. This is protecting your heart and your brain during their most vulnerable daily window. This is something many of my patients in cooler climates overlook, and I want to bring it up because it matters more than most people realize. Cold temperatures cause blood vessels to constrict, to tighten, and narrow. It is a reflex the body uses to conserve heat. But in older adults, especially those with high blood pressure or arterial stiffness, that constriction adds significant strain to the cardiovascular system. If you wake up in a cold house and move quickly through chilly rooms without warming up, you are adding another layer of cardiovascular stress to a morning that is already challenging for the body. Your blood vessels are like pipes in a building. In the cold, those pipes contract. Water, or in this case blood, must push harder to move through a narrower space. And if those pipes are already older, stiffer, or partially narrowed by years of high blood pressure, the extra effort can push things toward a dangerous threshold. Warm your environment before getting out of bed if you can. Keep a robe nearby. Move slowly through cold spaces. And be especially careful on winter mornings. Research shows that stroke and heart attack rates rise during cold weather, particularly in the morning hours. A lot of people have been told they have an irregular heartbeat, or AFib, and they have been given medication for it. Some have been told it is controlled, and they feel fine, so they do not think about it much. But I want to speak very directly to anyone who has AFib, or who has ever been told their heart rhythm is irregular. The morning hours carry a disproportionately higher risk for AFib episodes. The same hormonal and blood pressure changes that make the morning difficult for the cardiovascular system overall can also trigger episodes of irregular rhythm in people who are prone to them. And AFib is one of the most significant independent risk factors for stroke, multiplying the risk by a factor of 5. When the heart beats irregularly, blood can pool in the upper chambers and form clots. Those clots can travel to the brain. Think of the heart as a powerful pump. When it is pumping in steady, coordinated rhythm, blood moves efficiently and completely. When it flutters irregularly, blood sloshes around, and in those moments, clots can quietly form like sediment settling at the bottom of a still pond. If you have AFib, your morning medication is not optional. And if you have ever felt your heart fluttering or racing for no reason, especially in the morning, please talk to your doctor. That symptom deserves attention. Most people assume that as long as they slept a certain number of hours, they slept well enough. But there is a growing body of research that connects poor sleep quality, not just sleep quantity, to significantly elevated stroke risk. And the mechanism is one I want you to understand. When sleep is disrupted by sleep apnea, by frequent waking, by poor deep sleep, the body does not complete its overnight repair cycle. Blood pressure, which should drop significantly during sleep in a healthy pattern, stays elevated. Inflammation markers rise, and the morning surge hits a system that never fully recovered. Sleep apnea in particular is alarmingly underdiagnosed in adults over 60. You might not even know you have it, but if you snore heavily, wake feeling unrefreshed, or are told by a partner that you stop breathing in your sleep, please mention this to your doctor. It is a serious cardiovascular risk factor, and it is treatable. Your sleep is not wasted time. It is the period when your brain clears waste products, your vessels repair, and your entire cardiovascular system catches its breath. Protecting that window protects your mornings and your long-term health. We have talked about prevention, about habits and risk factors and warning signs that build over time. But I want to spend a moment on something just as important: what to do if a stroke is happening right now. Because here's the truth that every cardiologist knows and wishes more people understood. The damage from a stroke is directly tied to how quickly treatment begins. Every minute of delay can mean millions of brain cells lost. Time in stroke medicine is brain. This is why I want you to memorize one word: FAST. F stands for face. Is one side of the face drooping? Ask the person to smile. Is it uneven? A stands for arms. Ask them to raise both arms. Does one drift downward? S stands for speech. Is their speech slurred, strange, or absent? T stands for time. If you see any of these signs, call emergency services immediately. Right now. Do not wait to see if it improves. Do not drive yourself to the hospital. Call. Other symptoms to watch for include sudden vision loss in one or both eyes, a severe headache unlike anything you have felt before, sudden confusion, loss of balance, or unexplained dizziness. If any of these appear in you or in someone near you, it is an emergency. Full stop. The American Stroke Association emphasizes that clot-busting medication can dramatically reduce stroke damage, but it must be given within a specific and narrow time window after symptoms begin. Please write FAST somewhere you will see it. Share it with your family. It is one of the most important pieces of health information that exists. Everything we have talked about today points to one conclusion. The first hour after waking is a window of vulnerability that most people over 60 are walking through without protection. But here is the genuinely hopeful truth that I want you to hear. You can change this, starting tomorrow, not with expensive treatments or complicated programs, with a series of small, simple, consistent choices. Each one might seem minor on its own, but together they create a morning routine that actively protects your heart and your brain. When you wake up tomorrow, do not reach for the phone. Do not swing your legs over and rush to stand. Lie still for a moment. Take a few deep breaths. Acknowledge that your body is beginning a transition and needs a moment. Sit on the edge of the bed for 30 seconds. Let your blood pressure adjust. Let the vessels wake up before you do. Reach for water. Not your phone, not coffee. Water. Just a glass. It takes 10 seconds and it begins reversing the overnight dehydration that thickens your blood every single morning. Take your medication as prescribed. If you have blood pressure medication, take it before you eat or leave the room. Do not wait. Do not skip. Then give yourself 10 to 15 minutes of quiet, gentle movement, light stretching, a few minutes of stillness before the day begins. That routine costs you less than 20 minutes, and it addresses nearly every risk factor we have discussed today. Patients who have made these changes tell me they feel more alert, more stable, and calmer throughout the day. And when I see their blood pressure readings, morning readings, they are often meaningfully better. Small things, done consistently, save lives. I have seen it. I believe it. And I want that for you. I want to summarize what we covered today because I want these 12 things to stay with you. Your mornings carry more cardiovascular risk than most people realize, especially after 60. Blood pressure surges, overnight dehydration, medication timing, rushing out of bed, morning stress, cold temperatures, sleep quality, irregular heart rhythms. Each of these is a piece of the same puzzle. And when they come together in the wrong way, on the wrong morning, in a body that is already under strain, the consequences can be life-changing. But the solution is not fear. The solution is awareness and simple action. Tonight, before you go to sleep, put a glass of water on your nightstand. Put your medication where you will see it. Set a quiet alarm that gives you 15 extra minutes of transition time tomorrow morning. Make one commitment to yourself that tomorrow you will wake up differently. Because here is what I know after years in this work. The people who avoid the most serious outcomes are rarely the ones who had the best genetics or the most perfect diet. They are the ones who paid attention, who took the small steps seriously, who did not wait until something went wrong to start protecting themselves. You deserve to stay healthy, independent, and clear-headed for every year ahead of you. You deserve mornings that feel safe. And you deserve to know what your body is telling you. If this video resonated with you, if it changed something about how you will approach tomorrow morning, please share it. Send it to your spouse, your sibling, your friend, your neighbor who mentioned their blood pressure was a little high. You could be the reason they make a change that protects them. And subscribe to this channel if you have not already, because every week Dr. Kevin Dorr brings you honest, compassionate, practical information like this, designed specifically for adults who want to understand their bodies and protect their health. Take care of yourself. You matter. And tomorrow morning, wake up slowly.